Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for March 13th. I'm your host, Taran Armstrong, and with me today is Scally. How you doing, Scally?
Hello, Taran. I am good. I am exhausted. I am terrified of what Kyle will continue to do through the rest of his HOH run. But for now, I am excited to talk about what has already been happening in the last 24 hours or so.
Yes, we've had, I guess it's more like 23, right? There's a time change involved.
Hmm.
So we're short an hour here, but
Uh,
uh,
Terrified to think what would have happened if we had an extra hour to recap. No,
would
thank you.
would have been great. We are here to talk about everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother Big Brother Canada 10 live feeds. It was day 15 in the house, and we had a veto competition. We had some veto results, and luckily for us, most of the planning for the renom is going to be happening this morning, and not too much of it last night. So we will get into the preliminary plans, though. We do have some new alliances forming. We have more people talking about Kyle, more Kyle being Kyle, and we'll get into it all here today. Of course, Kyle is the HOH. He listened to the last couple of updates to see the whole roller coaster of the nomination plans, but he nominated Steph and Moose. Again, if you don't know why, listen to the last couple of updates if you've got 3 hours. And now we are heading into today into the veto competition. So Moose is going to start the day going around and asking people about like, hey, can I pick you for the veto? I don't even need you to necessarily use it on me, but I would love it if I could pick you for the veto and you just like didn't try very hard. And it helped me win the veto.
Kind of the best case scenario. I feel like not that many people are going to be willing to stick their neck out for Moose at this point. I mean, he's been fairly honest with people about the conversations he did have, and those are not exactly something that encourages a lot of trust. So Moose is a little bit on an island, and he knows it. So good for him at least trying to feel out if people would be willing to throw it to him, because I think that that's about the best he can hope for here.
Mm. So he's going to talk with Tanisha about this, and she's going to kind of question him about like, well, I've heard all this stuff from Kyle. Like, were you coming for me? And Moose is starting to play down. His initial response, I think, was while in shock to some degree, just kind of admitting to everything and sort of allowing Kyle to control the narrative. He's now pushing back a little bit, like, no, I wasn't talking about targeting you. It was more about Herman. Like, it was not. It's not like how Kyle's trying to make it out to be, essentially. And so that's going to be sort of his pitch throughout the day to various people from the seven as he goes around talking about, hey, would you, can I pick you? Can I rely on you to not try to win this veto?
Yeah, he talks to a ton of people, including like Jess has one of their like just a check-in saying basically, like, how are you feeling? I just want to check on how you're doing mentally, like outside of the game, how are you? And conversation's good, but even Jess is like, I maybe would not pick me. Like Moose is truly on an island when you're approaching Jess, and they're like, I'm gonna distance myself a little bit. So
Yeah. Yeah, he has the conversation with Jess. He also asked them if they'd not tried too hard to play in the veto. In the meantime, Jace is also going around. She also has like a message to get across throughout the day, which is yeah, you remember how you all thought I was with Steph? Definitely not. That's not true. In fact, don't even mention. It's so annoying to me that people thought that we were friends. So annoying to me. Like, she literally just followed me around. We're not a duo. I want her gone. I would love for Steph to leave this week.
I love how there was so much fear over telling jacey-lynne that they might target Stephanie, and she has turned into like the biggest pro Stephanie evicted this week over Moose. I don't care. I want her out. Jacey-lynne has gone scorched earth on the Stephanie alliance for sure.
Yeah, it's like I guess Kyle did too good of a job here because she is now campaigning for Steph to leave over Moose, Kyle's intended target.
You know what? I think that ultimately it is a bad read. I don't hate the instinct of like allowing yourself to be disconnected from someone who's having the target on them, especially like if it's going to be holding you back. But you do not need to be putting yourself this like far in front by any means, especially to evict someone who like just wants to help you, even if they're not doing their best.
Hmm. So Kyle's also going to be talking about how he's got a new plan for the veto, which is that he wants the veto to be used on Steph. Now, I believe initially he was thinking that he could do that, but then realized, of course, that he can't play in the veto. But then he is gonna okay. I'm gonna ask the winner to use it on Steph. He lets Steph know that this is the plan. He wants to rebuild that bridge with Steph. And so that's he's gonna have the veto used on Steph, replace her with Betty, and send Moose out of the game.
Yeah, would not be a Kyle HOH day if something did not change immediately. Obviously, we need to change up the nominations. Veto hasn't happened. It's only been what, a couple hours since they even like woke up this morning. But we need to take Stephanie off the block and change everything around.
Hmm. So that's he needs as much blood on his hands as possible. I think is the goal here. And so we're gonna get to the veto draw, or it's really not a draw anymore. The veto spin, I
Yeah,
guess. Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Um, and Josh, Betty, and Gino are picked for the veto. And so Josh, Betty, Gino, Moose, and Steph will be competing in the veto. And Josh is going to kind of try to figure out, should I try to win this? Is this something I want to win? He talks to Kevin. Kevin's like, yeah, try to win this, dude. Uh, like you see who's HOH, bro. Everybody wants safety this week. And I can tell you, I keep glancing over at the feeds because it's literally like the the nomination wheel is spinning right now, and it could really land on
Mhm.
anyone.
Oh, it's so scary. And so I think for Moose, this is not a terrible veto draw. I
Mhm.
think Gino, like WoW Physical, has said that like puzzles maybe not his thing. Josh has just come up short consistently, and I don't think is the last person that he could approach to use the veto on him. And Betty is Betty so far, like rooting for her, but not seeing a ton of comp prowess here yet, much to her dismay. So I think okay draw for Moose, but like you said, like literally even Gino would not be hurt by guaranteeing his safety this week with Kyle in power.
Yeah. So Josh decides he will win it, but he's already kind of talked to Moose, and Moose asked him if he would maybe use it on him, and he was kind of like, maybe I would. And so there's always a whole storyline about who should play, who can be picked. Well, what will they do? It's almost never relevant, so I don't usually talk too much about it. And in this case, it's also not super relevant, so I won't talk too much about it. Um, but he does go to Betty, and I thought this was good. And I think the reason I'm talking about it at all is because it's Josh, and he was picked, and it forced him to talk to people more, which was good. And so he talked to Betty, and he was like, "Look, Betty, I don't want to use this because I don't want you to go up. I value your life in the game." And I was like, "Yes, Josh, let's go. Let's do some stuff. Let's talk to some people." Uh,
Hmm.
but in the meantime, Kyle has changed his mind again. He no longer wants the veto to be used.
Yeah, I don't know when Kyle here randomly decided that he wants to stop doing the most, stop getting the most blood on his hands that he can, stop trying to force his will on the house, but he has decided that, like, sorry, Stephanie, not going to ask for anything to change. I think this is for the best if you're up there. Good luck in the veto.
Yeah. So, Jace is going to talk with Betty some more about wanting Steph out. That seems to be where the House is starting to lean as well. That the House may be leaning toward voting Steph out over Moose potentially. There's a lot of movement going in that direction. Steph has no connections to the people who control this vote, and what do they want Moose out for? Like, they know where Moose stands. They don't really know where Steph stands. So there's a lot of talk about that. Jace also talks to Helena about it, and they talk about building some more trust together. Nobody knows that they're a thing. Helena continuing with these sort of individual secret relationship alliances.
Exciting to see from Helena. Have always had some faith in her, so I'm excited to see that she is like still putting in work, even if that work may be erased after Thursday. But as far as everyone else, I get why. Like even if Moose's relationships are damaged, they can be fixed. Whereas Stephanie doesn't really have any of those relationships that are pretty strong, in fact. So there's not much work you can do there. It's not going to really hurt anyone, including jacey-lynne at this point, if she were to go. So the house flip definitely starts getting floated around.
Mm. So we are also going to see Moose's version of the we know each other reveal. While Kyle is in the DR, he's going to tell the house, and it's so fun. Like Moose's reveal is how this reveal should have gone. Like when Kyle said, "My major is not in English; it's in sport media." Uh, Moose is like, "Hey guys, I just wanted to say while everyone's here, I did know Kyle from university. I'm pretty sure nobody knows about it. Like, whoops. Um, the so basically we had a pre-existing relationship. We knew each other. I think it was Tanisha's like, well, what, like, were you friends? And he's like, not really. I mean, we had a couple of the same classes. We did some TV productions together. We went to some parties together. It's really not a big deal. But just to get it out there.
Yeah, to get it out there as if it had not been already. This is why, as soon as Moose is going to people and saying, like, I have things that I can tell everyone, but I'm going to wait till after the veto. I was like, oh no, like, you've already been beat to the punch. Like, stop giving even more room in between. Like, you are
Mhm.
aware of the situation now, start playing. So I'm glad that Moose finally realized, like, I gotta get it moving and not leave it all till post veto. But he, you know what? Got it all started before he was guaranteed safety in the first place, which was good.
Yeah. Tanisha and Summer talk a bit though after, and they're like, Moose is starting to say some more things now. And, a lot of what he's saying, they're similar to what Kyle's saying, but kind of with a different, that's typically how it goes. Typically talk to anybody. They're the main character of their own story, and they're the hero, and the other person's the villain. You talk to the other person, and oh, surprise, surprise, they're not the villain of their own story. Um, yeah, but they're kind of feeling like they believe Moose a little bit more than Kyle. Moose is a little bit more believable.
Yeah, and it doesn't help for Kyle that he had the stuff going on with Jay last week. So there was already a little bit of question, I'm sure, in people's heads, regardless of like what is told to be true or false. And we don't have like an exact understanding of like while feeds were down and whatever, what was discussed and or confirmed or how that all really played out. But regardless, you're still gonna have that in the back of your head, just this like, oh, there was a he said, she said last week. There is another he said, she said this week. So I am going to be a little wary of Kyle when things start to come out.
Hmm. So we get some more Summer Tanisha when Herman joins them, and Herman is kind of we talked about it yesterday. After all of the events of that day, Herman did go back to the boys, and they talked about their alliance, and that alliance is still trying to figure out a name. And it's Herman, Marty, Kyle, and Gino. And it was kind of like, okay, it seems like Herman is still trying to ride this middle, which he is, but he is also, in case you were worried, still very anti Kyle at this point in time. And he's going to kind of go on an anti-Kyle campaign throughout the remnants of the seven, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Remember, he tried to do this yesterday, and at that point, they were still kind of pro Kyle. Not as much the case today as he starts going off about how he's like, Kyle, you created this problem and now you're trying to swoop in like you're a hero by solving it. Like what? Like you are out of your mind. This guy is ridiculous.
It's so fascinating to me watching Kyle, where I can't always tell, like, is he trying to project confidence, then like reassure everyone, like, no, this was the plan, and like we're good, don't freak out, like I'm good, we're trustworthy, and like knows that things are not going great, or is he just like a little bit pathological at a certain point where he's like actually convinced himself in his own head that this was all the plan and he wanted Stephanie to grab Moose and he wanted things to go down this way. So I don't always, I don't know. It's fascinating to watch Kyle and how he convinces himself and others.
Hmm. Well, he's gonna go to Kyle, and say, "Look, Steph, I know I said that I was gonna try to get the veto used on you. I've actually changed my mind, and I've decided that I'm not going to have the veto used on you. I'm sorry about this. The veto hasn't even been won yet, and he's already said he would have the veto used on her. He doesn't even know who won it, and now is telling her, actually, never mind. I'm not going to have it used on you. It's just too fishy, too suspicious looking. We gotta keep you up on the block. Sorry about that.
Yeah, God forbid Kyle uses any of his weight to throw around in this house. He would never do something of the sort. So it is quite the choice. He is somehow under the impression that like everything he is doing is for the good of the house. It's all a house decision, when that does not seem to be the case. So him going to Stephanie yet again is like, I understand that obviously the house would be on board for anything I want them to do, but I'm going to choose not to do that for you when she could win. And then it's just telling her like I wasn't going to help you out.
Hmm. It's pretty wild. It's I mean he's like middle management at this point. Like just really loving the power and really being like, all right, so this is what I'm gonna do for you. And then like, oh sorry, actually, it's not gonna work out for you. Sorry about
Mm.
that. You're just gonna have to work on the weekend. Oh man, that's for you, right?
Ooh, I'm not working. You're working, not me. Like, okay, thanks, bud. Really, my friend here.
So Moose is gonna talk to Betty, and Betty is playing in the veto, remember? And he's like, hey, best case scenario, you win this veto and save me. Then we're both safe. Then what's Kyle gonna do? Who knows?
Oh, the excitement, but also the fear that ran through me when this scenario was available. Because I truly, I mean, who knows what Kyle's going to do in any situation, but especially this one where it seems like the likeliest, pre-veto, that if that were to happen, it's just a true, like you said, nomination roulette. Who knows who's safe? Let's spin the wheel. It is not looking good. Would have been wild feeds. Not that things are going to be that much calmer, I presume. But yeah, a Betty winning veto and saving Moose truly would have been bananas.
Yeah. I mean, imagine what would have happened if the twist had actually done anything and saved Betty, right? Like, we'd be in a really wild situation. Um,
Getting to fourth on the list and fifth and sixth and seventh, I presume would all come up. But yeah, it would have been if only the voting was different.
yeah. Uh, she asks Moose about the rogue votes because there's been some rumblings, some from her, that he was one of them. He swears it was not him. And she also asks him about knowing Kyle. Why did he decide that now was the time to start talking about how he knows Kyle? And he said, I just felt like Kyle was starting to tell people, going to probably tell people anyway. And I never thought it was a big deal in the first place. He's the one that made me hide it when to start. I didn't
hmm
think it was worth hiding.
Which is only backed up by Kyle now admitting that he like lied about his major. It like makes him seem like the sketchier one here, where it's like Kyle was the one who felt the need to go out of his way and lie about other things to hide this. Where like I wanted to tell people, but I didn't want to like make an enemy out of Kyle week one. So that's where we're at here.
Mhm. So Herman is going to continue his anti-Kyle. Tori gets to Josh to see where Josh is standing. Josh is continuing to, apart from the little bit that he has gone out and talked to people about the veto, he is still kind of just like when Kyle talks to him, he's like, "Yeah, sure, definitely, gotcha." And kind of similar here with Herman, even though it's the opposite because Herman is talking about how Kyle sucks, and Josh is like, "Yep, definitely agree." I believe that Josh is more so on the Kyle sucks train. But he is doing what he needs to do when he talks to Kyle. At least doing a good enough job. We'll see with all the stuff that's happening this morning. But he's trying. He's trying.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure there's more conversations with Josh throughout the day, but I am glad, encouraged to see that he is at least, being a little bit more proactive in his game here.
Mhm. So, Summer, Tanisha, and Kevin are going to be talking, and Kevin is finally going to be making some kind of push here because, despite the fact that Kevin has always had a pretty good relationship with Kyle, um, Kyle's been so busy being HOH because it requires so much of you to run around changing your mind 15 times. He hasn't really been maintaining his relationships very well. The only conversations he's had with Jess have been, I might nominate you. I'm not nominating you. He's barely had any conversations with Kevin. He took Kevin to Wendy's. But apart from that, there's been very little. He's even not been talking to Marty as much. He's talked to Marty a couple of times in group settings, but every time Marty talks to Kyle privately, it's pretty short, and Kyle's ignoring Marty's advice, which is put up Josh or Herman, which, quite frankly, is a good idea for Kyle at this point. And Kyle just keeps ignoring it. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, what do you think, Scally? Because I feel like at this point, Herman, I mean, is definitely coming for Kyle. I think Josh will go for Kyle. I think Summer or Tanisha would be a decent. Summer's definitely going for Kyle. I mean, he should take a shot at that side to some degree. I think Betty is not Kyle's biggest issue. Moose has never been Kyle's biggest issue, but obviously we'll get there. And Steph is definitely not somebody that Kyle should prioritize getting out at this point.
For sure. No, I don't think Stephanie is like the move for Kyle by any means, but as we'll get to with how the veto goes and everything, I just think that it is like he's sunk his ship too deep, and so like Kyle's not going to play optimally. I don't think that that
Oh
is a
no.
realistic possibility. But like if Kyle was even an average player, not like a great player, I almost feel like the move is just to like stand still and hope that like someone else wins HOH or someone on your side and you get forgotten about at a certain point, because like taking the Josh or the Herman or the Summer or whoever shot right now, I don't think it's going to land. So like you are even
Oh,
more
that's
openly,
very true. Yeah.
yeah, you're even more openly like just declaring war with the other side, whereas like eh, what is true is that Kyle is a bad player and making bad moves. So, and
I
like
mean, yeah.
you
I
could
I
just
keep
hide
I
behind that a little bit.
I keep forgetting that he made the absolutely atrocious move of nominating Stephanie anyway. And so
Yeah.
now she's just on the block. And if he tries to put up Herman, Steph will just go anyway.
So like why take like he doesn't know this will be a house decision, and like Marty is so convinced that like oh Josh is they're both at one point like Josh is evil. It's like whoa, okay, calm down. Like he is barely speaking, let alone evil. So I do not know Marty's obsession with Josh. That has frustrated me, but yeah, it is just like the shot's not going to land. So and I don't think Marty's even thinking about the numbers. I think it's just like an obsession at this point,
Well, yeah.
without
I mean, yeah.
yeah.
Marty was right, and now he's not because it's too late,
Hmm.
right? I think
Yeah.
that's the thing. Um, so Summer, Tanisha, and Kevin are going to be talking, and Kevin is finally going to be doing what I've been wanting all of these players, Kevin, Helena, Jess, to do, which is pull me into an effing group, guys. I have individual relationships with some people, but I have not been able to talk with any groups. Let's come on. Can we do something, please? It's week 3. I would love to be in a group. And Summer's like, all right, okay, Kev, I see you. Who are you targeting? Give us something. And he's like, yeah, about that.
Yeah, that is tough to say when I do not know who you are aligned with.
Right.
So,
I really want to be in a group with you, and I don't want to mess this up. So, is there any way we could just ignore that question and move on?
like, I'm totally down. Let's establish the group first, and then we'll go from
And then
there.
we'll have like a group conversation about who you guys want to target, and then I'll tell you who I want to target, which happens to be the same as you. It's like Kevin has not read the book, but he just needs the discussion to start going so he can play off of what other people are saying about it. Oh yeah, I really loved that part of the book that you're talking about. I disagree with how you're seeing it, but I totally see how you're seeing it that way. Definitely.
Yeah, Kevin does not have the information that he needs to operate in this conversation fully. Luckily, I think plays off like pretty decently. But it is just like you're risking hitting a landmine when you're throwing out names and don't have the information, unfortunately.
Yes. And so while it is a bit, awkward here as he is refusing to give information and the conversation ends up kind of stalling, he does get away with not really giving anything up. And they will be reconvening later, as we'll talk about very shortly. In the meantime, the feeds have gone down for the veto. Down
Yes,
for a
quite
while.
the stretch down for Veto.
Yes, down for quite a while. And when they come back up, we have an HOH winner, and that winner is it's Moose. Moose won the veto.
Oh, Moose. Of course, Moose would win. We needed chaos this week. It's on the menu. Kyle cannot rest even for a moment. He needs to just expend all of his game energy all at once. So, of course, this would happen. I'm happy it happened. And, the house gets no rest.
Yes, Moose is not going anywhere. Mayhem Moose is ready to go, and he's putting Chaos Kyle on his heels. Moose will be safe this week. Now, there's not going to be too much, as I mentioned, not too much fallout from this last night, as Kyle decides to take a break, a bro break from strategizing. But there's, as I said, already quite a bit happening this morning, and I'm sure that unless Big Brother Canada does something, there's not like a holiday or anything this weekend / Monday, is there?
I am not up to date on my Canadian holidays in full, but I have not heard any rumblings. So
Sometimes Big Brother Canada likes to like randomly have veto ceremonies like way earlier. But I'm assuming it still happens on Monday. Then we've potentially got a full day of Kyle figuring out, deciding, and then changing his mind of who he wants to nominate.
Yeah, it starts a little bit tonight. Luckily, like you said, this bro down is going to take up most of the time, so it doesn't have the most opportunity to waffle all night. But Kyle's gonna Kyle, and that's the only thing that we do know for sure.
Mm. So Moose has won the veto. We're gonna see Herman and Steph make out some more. I believe this is
Hmm.
the first time we've seen it, but it is not the first time it's happened.
Yes, I believe that's correct.
This potentially is important considering the fact that Steph is very likely is not very likely is going to stay on the block. And there has already been a lot of rumbling about voting Steph out even before Moose won the veto. Up against Moose, they were potentially going to take Steph out with the most likely renom, but not necessarily the one that will happen, but the most likely one for sure. Betty, up against Betty, there's going to be, I think, a big argument to take Steph out, whether or not Kyle wants it to happen. Because one, Betty is not seen as a threat at all. I believe she came in last place in the veto competition again. And there's a little bit of, controversy about Kyle's comments about her performance during the competition. And then two, Steph is theoretically, again, somebody that people don't really know where she stands. She might be with Kyle, whereas Betty is somebody that they can more easily pull in. Betty is with Mendems, and she has relationships with some of the people that should be controlling the vote this week. However, if Herman wants to keep Steph because they have a connection and/or he just likes making out with her, and/or he feels like strategically she could be an asset to him, especially now that Kyle's burned the bridge with her. So many burning bridges, olive branches, it's like passing the baton and Raised by Wolves. But there's a decent chance that this connection could decide the outcome of the vote this week. If Herman decides to stand up for Steph, because Herman does have a lot of influence in the House, especially with the people that should be controlling the vote this week.
Yeah. I mean, for Stephanie at this point, like, it's good campaigning or it's good fun. Like, either way, like, before she leaves the house, put in an effort. Herman is definitely someone who holds a lot of influence. I don't really know who the renom would have to be in order for her relationship with Herman to make the world of difference in her staying. But it's definitely like one of the best, if not the best, on the board to be having if she's looking to stay and get what is coming to be that side of the house's votes. But in the other direction, if she ends up going home, like, have a little fun before you go. Why not? You're on the show once.
Mm-hmm. So, as we said, Kyle's going to take a bro break from strategizing. That's because he's going to invite all of the guys, all of them, except for Kevin, up into the HOH room to crack some beers, throw some back, chat about high school and stuff, football, girls.
Ugh. Beers with the bros, as we know so well. Just the classic beers with the bros, bro down time. Gotta happen. It's just like, I don't know, was this intentional? Was this what? But it was just like, I don't understand when Kyle is like very talking about optics a lot of how things are going to appear in the house, not always practicing it as well. Just like, can't see this. I don't understand at a certain point how you don't look around and just think like, who is in this room just at all times. I know that he's saying like, oh, it feels so great to have taken a break from the game, but it's like, well, you shouldn't have. You shouldn't have taken a break from the game. That's your problem.
He basically put a sign on the door that said "No girls allowed." Also, Kevin. And also this conversation gave me like massive I don't know if anybody else experienced this or had the same feeling, but like massive, like, I am either in high school or right out of high school, very young guy, and I am trying to emulate what it means to be like a middle-aged man hanging out with some bros, being a dude, being a man. Yeah, we talk about man stuff like football. Like, we're definitely like reminiscing about like our past, because we're old and we're men. Like, it had that same like imitation vibe of where it's like they're talking about like high school and college. They're like college a little bit, but like mostly high school. And like it's very strange. And it was weird to see Marty there because like I feel like it's a conversation that Marty might actually have with some of his friends, but it's a bunch of young kids. And it was just a weird vibe. And there was so much talk about like this is so chill. This is so great. Isn't this so great, us bros? Like,
Just
and Josh
everyone.
is in there like, uh,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is like everyone is convincing themselves they're having a great time, like especially Josh. Josh is like, I am loving this. But it is, for Kevin, I feel like almost was in the conversation that he would have preferred more while gaining like the sympathy of the entire house.
I
So
mean,
not bad for Kevin, especially Josh when he just says even later, like, I hated it so much. Why was I there? Like I would have so much rather been over there. So like Kevin got away with quite the deal here.
this was absolute best case scenario for Kevin, and for many reasons. First of which, I guess we'll do this part first, even though it came later. Kevin gets massive sympathy points with the rest of the house as he goes, "Oh well, I guess I wasn't invited to the guy get together here. I guess I'm not one of the guys, huh?" And all the women are like, "Oh my God, Kevin, I'm so sorry. This is that's so terrible." Summer even goes to Kyle and says, "Kyle, you didn't invite Kevin to like she's Kevin's mom. Like, why you didn't invite my son to the guy party?" And Kyle's like, "Oh my God, I didn't even think about it. I totally forgot. I guess that Kevin is a dude." And he's gonna go and apologize to Kevin, who is like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's totally not a big deal." And Kyle's like, "No, it's such a big deal. I would have been so mad if I had to go hang out with all the girls while the guys were hanging out together." Uh, and he's like,
Great thing
"No,
to say.
seriously, it's fine."
Yeah, great. I hate hanging out with girls. Like, okay, Kyle, that's good. Definitely say that. But yeah, it's not ideal. Like for like Kyle for sure, but for Kevin, like he's hanging out with like all of the girls, and Jess and Kevin are hanging out in a room, and it's great for them because Kyle shouldn't want this in general. Like, don't other anybody in the house. Like, even if Kevin had been in there or whoever else, like you add to that, like you don't want to like put a group on the outside who can all bond over the fact that they were not invited and not like in the whatever cool kids club you have in the HOH right now is. So it's just not ideal. Whereas for Kevin, it's just like there's all benefits. He didn't have to participate in a conversation that he seemingly did not want to be, and is able to play it up to all of the girls in jest that he wasn't invited, and also to the guys that like, oh, I was left out. So great thing for Kevin here.
Yes, and it sort of helps him get past this barrier of, needing to say who his targets are, because he's gonna have a conversation with Summer, Tanisha, and Helena, about like, those guys. We don't want a bro to win this game, do we? And this is, there's clearly been talk while the feeds have been down for Veto. In between that first conversation we saw, where he's like, "Bring me in," to now, because they're talking about solidifying a group, and they have even a name for it. They're like, "What was the name we were talking about?" Rebel Rejects is a new alliance that's coming together. It consists of Kevin, Summer, Tanisha, and Helena. They were the ones talking. They also mention that Herman and Josh are in it. Kevin says, with 6 people, we can control the votes every week. Like, I'm pumped about this. And he's like, "Guys, I'm not as stupid as I seem." And they're like, "We know." Uh, and he's like, he's getting really excited. Like, he's giving them exactly what they said that they've wanted from Kevin, which is like a little bit more enthusiasm, a little bit less self-deprecation, and a little bit of like opening up. And again, they talk more like, and Kevin's like beating this drum more than anyone. Like, "We don't want just a bro, just broing down, like winning the game. That's so boring. We don't want that to happen." And so they talk about they can do it. These 6 can do it. Kevin says, my only thing is that I'll probably need some help with Herman. I really don't have much of a relationship with him. And so they're like, "Don't worry about Herman. We'll be all right."
I'm so excited about this alliance forming. Just like a lot of the people that I am very much rooting for are here, as well as just like not having it just be like stragglers getting picked off is definitely best case scenario. So I'm excited to see some people that were in the old majority and some people that were outside of that coming together to go against the other side of the house at this point. I do feel bad for Jess. I don't know what Jess did to not be included in this. Feel like really does not speak well to their game. That like you make an outsiders alliance and Jess is still on the outside of that. Not ideal, but hopefully they can find their way in somewhere.
Mm. So that's big news there. After Kevin leaves this conversation, Summer is going to go off on Kyle some more about how Kyle's got to go and all of that. We are also going to see Kyle. He is going to talk a little bit of game with Josh. He asks he asks Josh. He says, "Hey Josh, who do you think should go between Betty and Steph, since Betty will be my replacement nominee?" Let me tell you what I think. I think it should be Steph. And Josh is like, yes, what you said. And so Kyle is thinking that Stephanie is going to be the target between the two of them. They talk pros and cons about both, but Kyle is leaning Stephanie right now because he feels like Stephanie has nobody, and he's not worried about next week. The only thing Kyle has to worry about is if Moose wins.
Yeah. And I think Josh is good here, where he basically says, like, look, I'm open to either. I'm not connected to either person. Definitely haven't formed an alliance with one of them. But like Stephanie's much more likely to win a competition and be able to like come at us where they both are, but Stephanie is the one who is more capable of winning an HOH. Like we heard how you were talking about Betty during the veto. We know your thoughts already, so we can play off of that. And it's just like I'm very glad with Josh knowing to stick around, post the bro down, actually put in some active game because I was not impressed with his original conversation with Kyle, like pre-noms. They both did a awful job the day before solidifying anything where it's just like, yeah, like I guess we're good till jury, and like that was it. There was nothing additional beyond that. So very happy to see Josh playing more actively on day 2 of the HOH reign here.
Yeah. So that's pretty much the night. There's a lot more that's happening this morning that again like makes a lot of what was happening, especially pre-veto. Like pre-veto is always useless because we don't know what happened with the veto yet. And things have already kind of shifted around a little bit this morning. We had Kyle telling just a preview for tomorrow's update. Kyle telling Marty about the 7, Marty pushing Josh again as the replacement nominee, Kyle considering it, Kyle talking with a few different people, talking about all kinds of different possibilities for renoms, including, I believe, Kevin, and a few others. It seems as though, however, that for now he has settled back onto Betty, and I think even while this update was happening, I think he may have told her that she is going up again. But remember, he's done this before, and he should have a full 24 hours before he actually does it. So we will see. The votes between Betty and Steph could be interesting, but again, I will say. By the way, Kyle also seems to have changed his mind. He seems like he wants Steph to stay now over Betty, and that Betty is the target for him. And I believe that Herman is at least when talking with Steph, talking about how to get the votes to keep Steph around. So again, I would not be surprised if Herman is able to make sure that Steph stays if that is his intention. So we still, after everything, may see Kyle's original best move in the first place move of taking Betty out might happen. Just in the process, he demolished his entire game.
Just that little fact that you have to remember. Yeah, I don't know. I think Herman could do it. I would be surprised if he all of a sudden decides he wants to. But yeah, I think it's definitely like if you think you know what Kyle's doing, until the feeds come back and the veto ceremony has ended, like Kyle does not know what Kyle's doing in 5 minutes from now. So good luck predicting. I am terrified but excited to watch the rest of the week play out, as Kyle continues to sink his game.
Yeah. So that's what we've got today. Scally, anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, today I think covered it all, and I'm sure you'll have lots more tomorrow.
Yeah. I mean, I tweeted this out because it's so ridiculous. Because like when you're following the Kyle logic and the Kyle pathing and roller coaster ride that he is taking us all on, you see how wild it is, but it sometimes may get lost on you in the same way that it gets lost on Kyle. How bad the logic is, because remember the original plan to target Steph in the first place was atrocious logic. It's she has nobody except for me and our alliance. Therefore, I will nominate her and target her because it will appease everyone else. It will not piss anybody off because I will be the only one that is pissed off at myself, I guess. Essentially was the logic. So it's like, okay. Accepting that bad logic, Stephanie is now going to be the target. But then he decides, I'm not done targeting my allies. He decides he wants to target Moose because he can't trust Moose. Now, granted, Moose, not the most trustworthy guy in the house, but he was loyal to Kyle and he was doing things for Kyle. So ultimately, this is a bad read and he wants to target another ally instead. So he's thinking at first, okay, I'm putting up Steph and Betty, but if something happens with the veto, maybe I take a bigger shot at somebody in the 7, really just because he already destroyed the retreat by going after Steph. But I'll if everything works out with the veto, then I'll lock in the shot on Moose and it'll destroy the 7 to some degree, but I'll take that shot at Moose. But then he goes, wait a minute though. Should I even do that? Why would I bother burning the bridge with Steph if I'm going to take the shot at Moose anyway? What if I just don't nominate Steph at all and just nominate Moose right away? Yes, it risks that he might be able to win the veto and it might, it might not work out, but I won't have to nominate Steph and I'll be able to build that bridge with her. So maybe I should just nominate Moose now. And then he goes, okay, now I'm nominating Moose. Now that I'm nominating Moose, who's the person I should put next to Moose to ensure he goes home? Steph, because Steph needs to beat him in the veto. The reason you didn't put him on after the veto was so you didn't have to nominate Steph. And now you're nominating Steph so that she beats him in the veto, which he didn't even need to be playing in. And then guess what happens? He wins the veto.
Oh, it's almost as no, we don't even need to. Like, it's just if the trend continues, Kyle is determined on breaking every one of his alliances this week. So, with Marty safe, watch out, Gino. I don't think that's gonna happen, but like, it's just like you said, no one is safe. It's a spin the wheel. We'll find out who goes up, and it's the mess will continue for the rest of the week. Ultimately,
yeah. I just saw an update. This Kyle tells Gino he does not want Summer, Tanisha, or Josh in the 7 anymore.
All right. Well,
that's a pretty significant portion of the 7 to not be in the 7.
Well, Moose isn't there already, so we're down to
That's 3.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So the guys alliance. Oh, okay. That's good. So it's okay.
Oh man. Oh, what a ride. All right. That's what we have for you today. I will, of course, be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on whatever else happens today with this veto talk. And but it'll probably be, maybe the Betty nom will be locked in. Maybe Kyle's done. Who knows? But I do think we still have to look for the votes. Where are the votes going to go? A lot of momentum against Steph already, but again, with Herman there, because again, this is what I'm talking about when it's in terms of who controls the votes. Herman being included in the Rebel rejects means that he can push the Rebel rejects to say, no, 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 no. I can pull Steph in. She'll be a number for us against Kyle. Don't worry about it. And best of all, Kyle wants her to stay anyway. So for Herman, it kind of makes sense on multiple fronts to keep everyone calm. Hey, Kyle, we're doing what you want. Hey, Rebel rejects and anyone else that he's talking to. Yes, we're still anti Kyle. We'll just secretly pull Steph in to make that happen. Steph can be his number, and he can feel that out with Steph as well if he wants. So it would really not surprise me if that's the direction it went. Herman is one of the few people who I think could do it, and he's in a position to do it. It's just a matter of what he wants. So that's what we should be looking out for today. Of course, tomorrow night we will also have an episode at 7 p.m. Eastern. Remember, an hour earlier, I believe. It's already. I know it's already an hour earlier because of the time change, but it's an extra hour earlier. It's at 7 p.m. Eastern. We'll be live after to talk through the episode. I'll also be live today, playing some Goose Goose Duck. Scally will probably be there.
I will. Good reminder that I'm going to be there.
So come hang out with us over on Twitch. I will also be live on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, watching the episodes along with all of you and going live if anything wild happens today or any other day on a Kyle HOH rain. So check all of that out. Check out the Taran Show and find me on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. All that good stuff. Scally, where can people find you?
Anything I'm doing will be on Twitter at Brian_Scally. Most recently, I think that I had guessed it on the Love is Blind wrap up, talking about the reunion special, which was almost as messy as a Kyle Moore HOH. So definitely go check that out. And then anything else will be on Twitter.
All right. Thank you all so much for joining us here today. And I will see all of you